And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning. We appreciate you being here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora worldwide, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around this spinning rock that we call Earth. YouTube.com/wakeupcalldt, Facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for tuning in Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We'll start off the show here in hour number one with Syracuse Orange linebacker, alum, and father of current Syracuse linebacker Caden Brown, that being Mr. Alban Brown, joining me here today to speak on Syracuse so far this season, what he's seen from his alma mater, what he thinks about Fran Brown and how Fran has been kind of coaching through this, and also some thoughts on his son as well, as Alban gets to do something that we haven't seen a lot of at Syracuse, unfortunately, which is be a legacy parent, which I think is something that I'm hoping for. I know that I'm hoping for this for the future for Syracuse, to get to see some of these things. There's this weird kind of connection, if you think about it, that Kyle McCord threw to Marvin Harrison Jr. at Ohio State. So Marvin Harrison's son never came to Syracuse, but Kyle came to Syracuse, and he used to throw to Marvin. So in some weird way, it's kind of there, but you know, you want to see these kids come. Kevin Johnson Jr. came for a little while to Syracuse and eventually left. Marvin Harrison Jr. never came. There's a bunch of names on this list, and thankfully the Brown family is not one of those names. They are starting, hopefully, a sign of good things to come for legacy. So we're going to talk about that with Alban and more. Hour number two, we're going to do what we do on a Tuesday, which is bring you Bearcat time with the Binghamton University Bearcats. Their soccer team is off to a 4-2-1 start, and the picture that was taken in this last game, dude jumped probably like 12 feet in the air. It's crazy. So we'll talk with Binghamton University Bearcats head coach of their soccer program, Paul Marco, and we'll also speak with student athletes joining the broadcast. Carlo Cavalar and Luke Yates will be joining me on the show, and we'll round out the show with the ingredients to success, as we always do on a Tuesday, and today's topic is a steady hand in chaos. With that being said, it is my honor and my privilege to be picture-in-picture with someone who has great taste in Central New York, and that is Mr. Alban Brown. Alban, how are we doing?
I'm good. How you doing this morning, Dan?
I'm doing really well, and you know, I appreciate the fact that you made time a few weeks back and making time again. It's crazy to think that we're in the season, but we're here. You know, football, you wait for it and you wait for it, and then it sneaks up on you, and then you're right in the thick of things. How have you assessed these first couple weeks for the Orange?
Obviously, week one was a little shaky, especially on defense, which I didn't see that coming. You know, I think it's well noted that the tackling wasn't up to par. I knew that all the players could do a lot better. I wasn't worried. I knew things just need to be tweaked. Mm-hmm. And I think we saw that in game two, everything was much improved. I was very much surprised at how well the offense did early on. They just looked like they clicked, and sometimes offense seems like it's the hardest thing to have them click like that early on. So that was definitely a pleasant surprise. And I was very disappointed in game two with the special teams. You know, back when I played, special teams was always something that was a priority.
Yeah.
And to see, you know, some of the issues that we had was surprising, but I'm not really worried about that. I think a lot of that is easy fixes, and I'm sure Coach Brown and his staff is going to get on that right away.
Yeah, you mentioned special teams. There were multiple times in this game where Syracuse struggled on special teams, and be it blocks, be it, you know, positioning and whatnot. It seemed like this. I mean, obviously they end up winning the game, but to put themselves in a situation where, special teams doesn't get the love that it deserves by any stretch of the imagination, yet they are the most responsible for field positioning. They decide where you start on offense, and they decide where you have to defend from on defense. And looking back at that game, it's a great point that you brought up, Alban, because people look at it and say 2 victories, a win over Georgia Tech, who was ranked at the time, and then some people move on. But to focus in on that, what were those key pieces that you saw on special teams that you really just thought to yourself, they got to clean this up in the bye week?
I think to me, it probably was a little bit of complacent, just players being a little not undisciplined and not really taking care of their job, their responsibility, and just, being a little too enthusiastic trying to make a play. And sometimes you got to just slow yourself down and do your job. And I think some of that had a little bit to do with it. It might have been a little bit of scheme. Sometimes we got to tip our hat to the other team. They might have just had, something they saw on tape, and they might have just had an excellent scheme, to get the blocks and even the onside kick. Maybe that's something that they worked really hard at. But normally, when something negative happens in the special teams, there's always a lot of emphasis on cleaning that up. And I'm sure, especially with the bye week, they had plenty of time to get in there and do those things. Like those weren't physical errors; they were mental errors.
Yeah, and like you talked about, the onside kick. I mean, the kick's supposed to go 10 yards. I believe it went 9, but it did graze a player is what they kept looking at, and they deemed that it did graze somebody. And on plays like that, it's just, it comes down to, like you said, you guys want to go out there, they want to make a play, but it comes down to positioning, and it comes down to hands and positioning, just being smart, right? And not contact. It seemed like we were almost trying to block and push and do different things there, where it was like, just focus on the ball, because that ball's got to go 10 yards. It didn't go 10 yards. If it had gone where it had went and it didn't touch anybody, they couldn't touch that ball. So it's one of those things. Listen, onside kicks are very, very difficult to recover, and we rarely see it happen in the NFL. We rarely see it happen in college football. In this case, Syracuse is on the wrong side of it, but it's plays like that you just can't allow. It's plays like that you cannot put yourself in a position of. And the blocks, when you go back and you look at the blocks, is it timing? You think about it. A kicker's job is to take that snap and kick that ball up, and you got to make sure that people are there to protect. I don't know if you could put anything on the kicker as far as getting the ball up. The ball gets snapped and you run at it and kick it. So where do you put the emphasis on there? Who needs to fix that up? Is that the the line that's just not getting above the, because there's so many things. I'm trying to think about the way to word it, because the way that things are now is they try to make it so difficult to block a kick or block a punt, because they're looking out for the kicker, they're looking out for the punter. If you go toward a punter and they fall down on the ground and they can prove that your pinky grazed the side of their cleat, they're going to call that a penalty. So, what can you change in a situation like that? And do you put any of the emphasis on the kicker?
I don't think in that situation it was the kicker's fault. Normally, the kicker does have a certain amount of time to get the ball off. They can't block forever. Yeah. I didn't see that happening on that particular play. So, in my opinion, I think the emphasis has to be on blocking. Yeah. And it's two-part. Knowing who to block. That I didn't really go back and watch that play over and over again. But to me, it's kind of twofold. It's either a missed blocking assignment or the physicality at the point of impact. Maybe the particular player was a little bit too focused on getting down the field and covering, didn't hold his block long enough. I'm not 100% sure. But in my mind, those were probably the two things that they're going to emphasize, knowing who to block and staying on your block long enough so the punter can get the ball off.
Yeah, and making sure that they shore up those issues because special teams, as we talk about it, it's funny how people don't discuss special teams in general. I mean, I try to do it a lot more here because I have a lot of respect for everybody on the field, but in other areas of media, we don't typically hear people talk about special teams unless something goes wrong. If somebody punts the ball well, you don't hear anything forever and a day. But Syracuse went from good punter to good punter to good punter, and then they had the year where they had three punters and nobody could really get the job done under Dino Babers. But keep in mind, they didn't have a special teams coordinator. They didn't have anybody running special teams that year. So, I mean, to me, that example itself shows you the importance of it and that you can't just mail it in, that the year that Syracuse didn't have someone overseeing special teams was arguably their worst year of special teams in a really, really long time. But again, Syracuse fans got used to Rob Long, Riley Dixon, Sterling Hoffrichter, and so on and so forth. They got used to guys that when they're punting the ball, they're going to the bathroom. The fans are going to the bathroom. They're getting a drink. They're getting some pizza because they're like, we got it. This dude punts like 80 yards. Like, we're fine. And the moment that it started to go awry, people started paying attention and staying in their seats. So I feel like it's important to emphasize the fact that special teams at Syracuse has done a lot of good things over a long period of time. And unfortunately, it's only when they mess something up that people want to talk about it.
Special teams is definitely 1/3 of the game. And a lot of people don't look at it that way, but it really is. And back when I was playing, Coach Mack used to always tell us, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships, but special teams wins the close games. And we almost saw where special teams could have ruined that victory for Syracuse.
Yeah, and thankfully Syracuse in all three phases was able to figure it out for their benefit. Alban Brown here with me, Syracuse linebacker, alum, and father of current Orange linebacker Caden Brown, speaking on the 2024-25 season thus far, with the team being 2-0 here on Wake Up Call. Alban, your son Caden, thoughts? I mean, you and I have discussed his preparation. We discussed what he was doing in camp to try and get better and become an overall talent that can be utilized wherever, whenever, however, including on special teams. What are your thoughts about your son so far?
It's a process, and he's as a freshman, just turned 18 not too long ago.
Yeah.
Now he's playing with real young men.
Yeah.
So for him, priority number one, and I was just texting with one of the coaches last night. Like his number one priority is putting on some weight and just getting stronger.
Yeah.
His speed is exceptional. He can play the game at this level. He just got to get bigger. There's just bigger, stronger kids out there, and not every freshman is going to be able to step in and make an immediate impact because there definitely is a transition.
Yeah.
With that being said, he's also changing positions. He was a rush end, which he was very exceptional at. But Coach Fran said from the start, I need a linebacker, and he's learning a new position. And some could argue that linebacker, especially in college, is a very mental game. There's a lot to know. It's not just your responsibility. The guys in front of you, you have to make sure that they're lined up properly, and you have to be in tune with the secondary behind you. So there's a lot going on. And he called me one day and he said, Dad, I know all the plays, but once they start changing formations and getting motions, and this coverage goes to that coverage, and this defensive front goes to that defensive front.
Yeah,
it's a lot. So it's going to take some time. So I'm always on him about getting his playbook and learning, and him just eating. He's a picky eater. So so Syracuse fans up there, when you have good restaurants, reach out to me on Twitter and send it to me so I can send him over there so he can get some food and eat.
Yeah, you said him being a picky eater. I mean, how has he acclimated himself to Syracuse? I mean, beyond football, the most important thing that we don't talk about enough is the mental health side of it, the experience side of it. Your son is in college, and we want him to enjoy it, obviously. So, what can you say to that effect? How has he been enjoying his college experience? How has he been kind of taking in this thing that will only happen once in his life? I mean, I tell you, I'm 38 years old, and I tell people all the time, never underestimate, underappreciate the fact that when you're in college, you can open your door and you have this entire piece of like you have a world to yourself, and it's a bunch of people around the same age. So you can make friends with people that are all there experiencing a lot of similar things. You can date people that are all there experiencing a lot of similar things. When you get out into the real world, Alban, as you know, I don't know what happened, but when you get out of that bubble, you realize people are nuts. So like
Yeah.
when you have the opportunity to be in college and make those memories and just be with people of, that same age, I think that that's huge. And I want to know how your son, what he's told you about his experience of it, because the biggest thing for me is that this young man is having fun and he's making good memories.
It's interesting that you mentioned the mental health aspect of it, because he lost his mother probably almost 3 years ago. So I lost my wife 3 years ago,
I'm sorry.
and so his last few years of high school was very difficult on him. And one day, I was having a conversation with Coach Fran, and he told me, he said, your son, he still hasn't totally recovered from the death of his mother. So he said, I'm gonna help him through that. So there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes with coaching and dealing with young men.
Yeah.
I appreciate Coach Fran and all the coaches for everything they've been doing to help him through that, and help him continue life, and just become a positive role model, just to have positive role models around him all the time, and so he can just be a better person. Forget about football for a minute. Let's just start with that. So, they've been doing a great job with that. But as far as college life is concerned, I mean, I see a big difference from when I was there and from his time there. They do spend a lot of time together, which is good. I don't think he's been going out, and like back in our days, we used to hit Marshall Street and things that I don't really see the kids doing that. I don't know what they're doing, but a lot of times, he's up in South Campus, around with his teammates and stuff, and they're just having a good time up there amongst themselves.
Do you like Fran's decision to put them in dorm rooms to make them have to live in that life together, as opposed to anything luxurious or like better housing, and that he decided to put them all in dorms and be like, no, like we're gonna experience this thing together. We're gonna put ourselves in a situation where everybody's on an even playing field. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
No, absolutely, 100%. When I played there, we all stayed in the same dorm, and we had to walk a good distance to go to practice. And it's something that's a bonding effect when you go through struggles with your teammates. You get to know each other a little bit better, and you get to fight for each other a little bit more. You really become a closer family. So I think that was a really good idea by Coach, especially now, with the transfer portal and all these different things. You have a lot of new players coming from other schools. So what better way to bond them and have them become an actual team than to have them live amongst each other and spend additional time with each other. So I think that was a great idea. And quite honestly, I think that's why we're seeing a lot of early success. They really look like a team out there. And you got to really care for each other if you're going to fight for each other.
Yeah, I like that. You got to care for each other if you're going to fight for each other. Alban, you mentioned the passing of your wife, which, obviously I'm sad to know that you and Caden have to kind of go through that. But you were talking about how Coach was speaking on, I'm going to help him through this. He's not completely healed from it. The most important question I can ask you this morning is, how are you?
I'm doing well. You have your good days, your bad days. It's like a scar. It's never going to go away, but it gets better. So, the distraction of football and just taking care of family and stuff like that. Just it keeps you strong because it makes you get up every day and fight for all the right things. And just having strong faith in God. And just understanding that there's stuff that we won't understand. It's their decision. It's His decision. And you just move forward. That's all you could do. And that's all your loved ones would want you to do. You can't lay down and die. You got to get up. You got to be productive. And you got to do what's best for you and your family. So with that being said, I'm doing well. I'm always concerned about my son. But, he's doing well. He's not the type that would tell me if he wasn't.
Yeah.
But, as a dad, I could tell. He's doing good, and he's amongst some good people. So I couldn't be more happy.
I always speak in the present tense because I know they're up in heaven. What's your wife's first name?
Oh, Cassandra.
So Cassandra, if she was here right now, what do you think she would say to you and Caden as you experience this thing together?
First of all, she would be super excited. She was always the football mom. A lot of times I coached Caden throughout his youth and even through high school football career. And, she was always right there with me, always involved with everything. We were very much involved in our kids' athletic careers. She would be one of those crazy moms that's just nuts, screaming at the game, yeah. Having her son's name on the front, on the back, all of that, and, I'm truly saddened that, she didn't make it around to see all this, but I know she sees what's going on, and I always tell Caden that's your guardian angel.
Yeah, 1,000,000%, right? We should all be so blessed to have one, and she sounds like a sweet woman, and being around you, I can imagine you had good taste in finding the right one and her finding you. So, Alban, for everything that you have that I kind of talked about in the intro here, the legacy, and we talk about family, we talk about Cassandra, we talk about, this beautiful thing, this love that she has for you and for Caden and for watching him play. And we wouldn't see him in orange and blue. We wouldn't see something like this happen, really, if there was a lot of the coaches in recent history. Greg Robinson, may he rest in peace. Doug Marrone, who's an alum but apparently didn't want alumni around. I know Schaefer tried to build inroads, and I know he did a lot of good things in the community because I still have people talk to me about him and his coaching staff, and I'm very close to his coaching staff to this day, over a decade later. Dino and I have a great relationship. I don't know why he wouldn't open the door. And so it seems like, it doesn't seem, I mean, it was so closed off, and the love wasn't there. And it wasn't just the head coach. It was seen in other places. But then, Deion Maddox, he gets hired by Dino, and that bridge starts to come back a little bit. Coach Hicks was still at Syracuse, but pushed out of the football program, which was, I think, arguably, for those that know the program, it was potentially one of the worst moves since firing Paul Pasqualoni that Syracuse could have done, which is having Coach Hicks on campus, but not having him connected to the football program. That's his love. That's his lifeblood. He helps so many people. He does so many amazing things, and he has so many connections to the NFL that regardless of record of Syracuse's team, he'd have 28 teams there, 31 teams there, all 32 teams there, 25 teams there. So there was a lot of things that didn't really make sense, but now that Hicks and Maddox are there over the last couple of years to rebuild these bonds, and then you have somebody like Fran Brown, who was speaking my language from the intro press conference when I asked him about what he's going to do with alumni, and he said, I want y'all to come around, I want you to be here, I want your presence. With all of that being said, that opens the door to legacy. Now, obviously, your son, other sons out there, they have to be talented, right? They have to bring something to the program. But we didn't see Marvin Harrison's son. We saw Kevin Johnson's son for a short amount of time on a preferred walk-on role type of thing. There's a lot of kids that we never saw come to Syracuse. And some of them, it didn't even feel like there was even a sniff of it in the case of Marvin Harrison Jr. So the fact that you are a part of this legacy now, that you and Caden can make this history, that you can open the door, that your family is showing that Fran is putting his money where his mouth is. What does that mean to you that you have a coach that doesn't just say it, and that your family, specifically you and Caden, have the opportunity of being the torchbearers of a hopeful future where Syracuse football alumni can see their kids wear orange and blue?
Well, I think first and foremost, for any alumni that have kids out playing football and they're looking to play D1 football, the first thing you always look at is it has to be a good fit for your son.
Yeah.
We all love our alma mater, and we love Syracuse University, but it has to be a good fit. So I can't speak for the ones that didn't go in the past, but I would assume that they tried to make the best decision for their son, or their son made the decision for themselves, but it probably wasn't the right fit. And I love my university, and I wanted Caden to go to Syracuse, but it was going to be his decision, and it had to be the right fit. And fortunately for us, with Coach Brown there, it was the perfect fit. And I think one of the reasons why is because Coach Fran is a Northeast guy.
Yeah,
he's from Jersey, and he grew up in an era of Syracuse football when it was at the top. I played from 85 to 90, and I like to think that those were some of the years that, really kicked off like a 20-year, I would like to say, legacy of Syracuse football. All through the late 80s, all through the 90s, Syracuse football was really at the top of college football. And that's not to slight the people that came before me either, because they all had something to do with it. But I really feel that those were some of the golden eras of Syracuse football. And Coach Fran experienced that, as a fan, as a young person growing up. So I think, and again, I don't want to speak for Coach Fran, but this is just how I envision it. I know he knows what Syracuse football is supposed to look like. And I think, he had a vision, and he's trying to implement that. And I think that resonates to some of the recruits. I know, you've interviewed them many times, and we've all heard them, speak. But one of the things that everyone always says about Coach Fran is he's genuine, he's real, and when you can come off like that to young men, it's easier to get them captivated into what is Syracuse Orange football.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I tell people this all the time. They're like, how do you keep up with all the technology? How do you keep up with everything that's going on? How can you be successful as a business person, as a coach, as anybody? And I say, as a teacher, and I said, it's very simple. If you care about people and you're honest and you want to build relationships, that is never going to die. It's never going to be overtaken, because we are social. That's what human beings are meant to be. We're meant to be together. We're not meant to be separated. And bringing us together in honesty, in truth, in care. When someone says, "How are you?" and it's not just the knee-jerk, like, I have to say this because I work for a business that tells me this is how I have to greet someone, but that you actually care how somebody is. That when somebody says something that's important, like I tell people all the time, it's funny because Jerome Smith said this to me years ago when I had him and the captains. I had all the captains with me. I think it's the first time that I knew of that there had ever been a live show on site on location in Central New York with all of the captains. And it was Jay Bromley, it was Jerome Smith, it was Marquise Sproul and Mackie McPherson. And I was sitting with all these guys, and we were talking, and Jerome looked at me in the middle of the live conversation, and I'm on the microphone, and he looked at me, he goes, "I see that." And I said, "You see what?" He said, "You don't have a notebook." He said, "Everybody's got a notebook." He said, "You don't have a notebook." He said, "Why?" And I said, "Because I do this crazy thing in life called listen. And I hear what you say." And I said, I come into this conversation in my head kind of knowing, like, okay, this is what I want to talk about. This is where I want to go. but I let you take me there. And if I don't get to a certain thing, I'm not looking at my book going, okay, got to get to this point, this point, this point. Not even listening. Okay, he answered that question, check. Okay, he answered that question, check. It's like I told Jerome, I said, if you want to talk about your mom, then we're going to talk about your mom. Like, that's what we're going to do. And he looked at me and he was like, that's why I like you. Like, that's why I like it, because you don't have. And I said, it's about care. And the fact is, Jerome and I are friends to this day. When I text him, I feel that love through a few words in a text message. Fran, everyone that I've talked to, and yes, I've gotten to spend some time with him. I made it a point to go directly to him because, unfortunately, there's powers that be that have favoritism that don't allow people like me because I don't have the right company name or the right this or the right that. So even when a coach says, I want to talk to Dan, they go, oh, no, he's not available. So with Fran, I wanted to see him in person. And I went down to Boca. I went down to Florida. I was in St. Augustine. I drove 3 hours to Boca. And I did the shows with the alumni. We found a place, O'Brien's Irish Pub. Shout out to them. Had a great time out there. And we had 2 days of shows. And then Corey Bowen, he said to me, he was like, listen, man, you're part of the family. We're doing an Orange alumni tailgate. And he said, it's for all alumni, but you're one of us. And those things, those words don't happen if you're not genuine, if you're not kind, if you're not caring, if you're just looking for a story. Those moments don't happen. I still to this day hope that I can live up to those words from Corey. And I showed up and he was like, Fran's going to be there and this and that. And I saw Fran and I saw Elijah Robinson and I talked to Fran. And I told him who I was and what I was about. And, hey, listen, I know that you may not know this right now, but basically, like, give me a chance. And because of my relationship with Fran, I was able to do that sit-down interview in his office because, as crazy as this sounds, Alban, he had to defend me in a way and be like, no, Dan's okay, because they would have never let me in. Scott and Schaefer and I are like this, and I asked for a request a year and a half before he found out. And I said, you're going to fire this guy before I can talk to him. And they did. So, and I still to this day love Missy, love Elsa, love Wolf, love Shafe. And just an awesome, awesome guy that got totally disrespected. And so with Fran, when people are telling me, wherever I went, they're like, he's genuine. Like people that have known him from years and years ago. People that met him now. He's genuine. He's honest. He says what he really means. He cares. I keep hearing that. He's genuine. He's honest. He cares. And it's nice to hear that. And it's nice to hear that consistency. And it's nice to hear that from people that have no reason to lie to you. Right. So I'm happy to hear it. And I'm happy to know it because that's the thing that's going to make Fran successful. People are like, oh, well, there's NIL money and he can offer this and he can do this. And, he's got, no, it's at the end of the day, if he's an honest person and he's a caring person, he's going to get recruits because reality is, as you and I both know, Alban, in any business of life, including recruiting, people are going to beg, borrow, and steal to try and move the chess pieces around. So if you put an honest man, an honest woman in the middle of that chessboard, it's checkmate.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So when you was at the what was it called, the ACC this summer, they had what
the
was
kickoff,
that?
The ACC kickoff.
Kickoff, right? The ACC kickoff.
Yeah.
It seemed like you was the only reporter that was there. You was asking most of the questions. Am I mistaken by that?
No. The funny thing is, there's 30 people that cover Syracuse or 20, whatever it is, and over the years, it has become less and less. At the ACC kickoff, there was one other person there. At the tip-off for basketball, there was one other person there, but somehow everybody reports on it. Somehow everybody has the information. Somehow all of the quotes from the questions that I ask get written in other stories. They show up in other places. They are talked about. And I find it interesting that I sit in rooms and I ask all these questions, like last year to Adrian Autry. I walk out of the room and I see that a newspaper has said, here's everything Adrian had to say, here's all of his quotes. There's no credit, there's no information, and the person that wrote it was sitting 2 rows behind me, never asked a question. So, I mean, I'm living in a world where the people that I sit with in a press conference are always stealing my information, never giving me credit, and doors are being slammed in my face. And I, like Fran, am just trying to help Syracuse. So it is frustrating.
Well, I noticed that you was asking some of the most important questions, and I just want to give you your flowers. I was like, hey, I know that guy. And I was like, you did a great job, and I said next time I see you, I wanted to make sure I mention that to you. So,
no, I appreciate that, because to the fan, they think when everybody's reporting on it, that they think all these radio stations and all these TV stations and all these newspaper places are there, but it was me and one other. Down in Boca, I was the oldest person there. I was the longest tenured person. I'm 38 years old. There were a few new faces. There was a couple people that have been around for a couple years, a year. But, I mean, I just find it interesting. And that's the part, Alban, that's really tough for me, is that I'm doing all this work. I'm building my own brand. I'm building my own company. I'm not doing this ego-wise. I'm just telling the truth. I'm building my company. I'm doing most of this by myself. I'm going up against businesses that have 30,000 workers, 2,000 workers, 10 people on the beat, whatever that may be. And I see my work everywhere. And not only do I see my work everywhere without my name on it, but those same people, when I walk into the room, scoff at me and turn their shoulder. So, I mean, it's one or the other to me. It's like, if you're going to use my work, I guess at least have the decency to say hello. But I guess the reality is, Alban, if you go into someone's house and you steal something, would you really talk to them to their face?
Right. Yeah. That's unfortunate. I don't know why it's like that, but I just want you to know I recognize and I see your talents. Because I'm listening to the question you're asking. I'm like, wow, Dan's really good at his job. That's what I'm sitting here thinking. So, I just hope you get all the accolades you deserve, because you're doing a fantastic job. And anybody who's a fan of Syracuse athletics, should definitely support you. That's just my feeling.
Well, I mean, I appreciate those words very much. So, my parents have told me, because I've struggled with it, and I said, what am I supposed to do when people are stealing my stuff all the time and those same people are treating me that I'm not good enough? My dad and my mom have told me forever, they're like, hey, there's nothing you can do about it, just keep doing your job. And my dad told me back in the day, he was like, God knows what you're doing, you know what you're doing, so just know that he sees it. And it is. I mean, I think the crazy thing about life is when people do people dirty that are trying to do the right thing, they want you to shut up about it, pretend like you can't see it. But it's so blatant now that I said, I might as well, when I announce myself, announce myself as working for all these companies, and then just watch everybody turn around and look at me, because, I mean, I'm not getting my checks, but I'm putting food on your table. So, but I mean, it's not about me. It's about the community. As much as it sucks to not get credit for your work, it's about the community. And thankfully, alumni like yourself seem to know, coaches, student athletes, it's the relationships. And we go back to Fran Brown. I want to bring it back to Fran. It's the relationships. It's building quality relationships with people and caring. And I had fans just asking me, like, what's different? What is it about this team? And I said, well, number one, we're allowed to go to practice, which is nice, because Dino did it toward the end, but we had this like slam door, you can watch them stretch. I was like, I'm not going to drive to Syracuse and spend gas, time, and money to watch the guys do jumping jacks and then get kicked out for 2 hours and then go back and do interviews. So the fact that Fran actually let us see stuff, and Fran and I had conversations. He was like, I'm going to let y'all see some stuff. He came up to me. He's like, I'm going to let you see this. I changed the schedule for today so you guys could see different stuff. Like, he was putting it out there and trusting the media with it and asking the media to do the right thing with it and to not show schemes and to not show different things. And then he addressed it with the media. He said, I asked y'all not to do something. You did it. If you do it again, I'm kicking everybody out. But he was transparent again. And I just, when I got asked, what's the difference with this team? I was like, they look different. Their body looks different. They look bigger. They look more muscular. There's guys that are on this team that I never thought would be here because, you know, getting a guy like Savion Washington, who's 8 feet tall and 520 pounds. I mean, this guy is a monster. And I'm like, that's a guy that would go to FSU. That's a guy that would go to Miami. That's a guy that would go to BC maybe. He wouldn't come here. And so, and I can say that because this is my hometown. I have watched that not happen for years. So, you know, I think the structure that he's created, the professionalism that he's created, the burning of the shoe, the going back to tradition, the man is not just saying stuff, he's doing stuff. And Alban, you and I both know this. Everybody tells you how great they are. There's nobody that's going to go out and go, I'm a terrible person, don't hang out with me. Everybody tells you they're great. Everybody tells you they're going to do something. But Fran Brown has changed the way it feels to walk into a Syracuse practice. And I respect that. And I'd love to hear from you because you've been at practices and obviously your son's on the team. How have you experienced it? One, that you're even allowed back in as an alum because that wasn't happening before. And two, can you see the professionalism? Can you see some of the things that I'm seeing?
Well, I've never been to a Syracuse practice after I graduated, so I don't have anything to compare it to from that standpoint.
Yeah.
But the few practices that I have been to, you know, you can see the energy not just from the players but from the coaches. I mean, the coaches are running around just as much as the players are. And I see you shaking your head, so I know you agree.
Yeah.
That stands out to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just older, but the coaches, they seem so young themselves, which I think is a good thing. But they're out there, you know, running around enthusiastic. You cannot not be excited and energetic when the coaches are like that. So, you know, and I think that comes from the top. I think, you know, that's done on purpose. You know, everybody seemed super engaged. And even the few times that I was there and alumni was there, you know, at the end of practice, you know, Coach Fran would bring the alumni out. You know, maybe a few, one or two would have a few choice words, you know, with the players. But, you know, just he wants us to be around and he wants them to interact with us. You know, so just being able to shake their hand, you know, even now after the games, I go down in the field to see my son, you know, and I have players coming up to me. You know, they know I'm alumni. They know I'm Caden's dad, but they know I'm alumni. They say hi. You know, I tell them good game. And, you know, and I think he allowed them to have the ability to respect the past. Because, you know, without the past, there is no future. And I heard him say that. That's his quote. So, you know, so I'll tell you a quick story. One day my son called me and I think he had them watching the movie, you know, The Express. So my son asked me, he said, hey, Dad, did you play with Floyd Little? And I said, no, I went to school with Floyd Little's daughter. I'm not that old, you know, but just the fact that, you know, these guys know who these people are and they know what they had to go through, their struggle, and they understand the history of Syracuse football. And, you know, to have the first African-American Heisman Trophy winner and things of that nature, you know, it gives you a certain amount of pride because, you know, especially the players that came from other programs, you know, through the college world, you know, Syracuse isn't necessarily always looked at as a football powerhouse. But, you know, Syracuse has a great history, in my opinion, that is unmatched by a lot of programs. Yeah. And, you know, we can't let that die. You know, we have to let that history be taught, let it be known. And I believe if you can do that, you will repeat history. So we can bring this program back to those days. And I think Coach Fran has the same vision. And I think he's probably going to be the right guy to do it. You know, I don't know how fast it will happen, but it's going to be a process. But I think we're in a great position, and I'm so excited that my son's a part of it. I'm trying to make it to every home game. So far, I've been to the first two. I'm coming up there this Friday to watch the game and root them on. And I was trying to get down to Vegas. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but this is exciting times. I'm really happy and excited for the people up in Syracuse, the young people who didn't get a chance to experience, the 80s and the 90s. They only heard stories or saw videos. I have the feeling that they're about to be able to experience some of that excitement of having a great football team and a great football program up in Syracuse. Because listen, they always say Syracuse is a basketball school, which it is. But when football is good, it makes Syracuse sports like just that much better.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't see it as just a basketball school. I am not ignorant enough to think that. You know what I mean? Like, I know that there's been success in basketball, but football, I mean, you can't have a school with Jim Brown and Ernie Davis and Floyd Little and Larry Zonka and Donovan McNabb and Marvin Graves and Donnie Mack and all these. You can't have a team like Dwight Freeney and Keith Bullock and Chandler Jones and Arthur Jones and my guy Nate Trout, my best kicker ever. So, and the Cole Murphy and Andre Schmidt in recent history who have both played professionally. There's so many guys that have been a part of this program. And then I go to the Alban Browns and the Rob Drummonds and the Scott Schwadys and the Todd Philcocks, and I look at these teams and the Rob Carpenters and the Rob Moores and Syracuse back-to-back years that you were a part of in the 80s, going 21 wins, 2 losses, 1 tie, back when you could tie in a bowl game. I mean, Syracuse was beating the number 1 team in the country, Nebraska, in 1983. Syracuse was undefeated in 1959, won a national championship. Syracuse was breaking down barriers when you have Ben Schwartzwalder saying, not only am I going to have African Americans on my team, but I'm going to let them play. And think about that. I mean, if he doesn't open that door, Syracuse doesn't have arguably their best history ever if he was a closed-minded coach. So there's so much to be said about the pioneers of what Syracuse has been in football. There's so much to be said about the history. There's so much to be said about them building the Big East. When you were there, they were independent. So, I mean, Syracuse built so much through football that I have made it part of my life's mission to reach out to as many of you as I can that are alumni and say, come on the show. Well, Dan, I only played sparingly. I don't care. Well, Dan, I got hurt this year. I don't care. Well, Dan, when I was there, I was the starting quarterback, but we won 10 games in 3 years. I don't care. Because to me, a brotherhood is a brotherhood, a sisterhood is a sisterhood. I don't look at people based on wins and losses. I look at the content of someone's character. I believe that there was somebody named Martin Luther King Jr. who suggested that maybe that's something we should do. And to me, there's so many great people that have come through the doors of Syracuse University, and I am never going to allow their voices to be quieted or not heard when they want to share this love, share this brotherhood, share this connection. There's so many positive people, including yourself. And I'm excited about this because I grew up where you couldn't hear yourself at a game. I grew up when my dad brought me to a Syracuse Pitt game, and we're sitting behind the goalpost, and he's right to my right, and I see his lips moving, and I kept going, what? I couldn't hear anything my dad was saying. To a dome that a few years ago, if my dad was across from the press box on the other side, I could yell out to him, and he could probably hear me. So change needed to happen, but there's very simple things to do, like engaging the alumni, that can change all of this. Alban, before I let you go, Dwight Freeney, you talk about being at these games. Dwight Freeney was just honored. He was honored for the College Football Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Syracuse, for some odd, ridiculous reason, has decided let's not retire jerseys until like a million years later. Joe Morris had not been back to campus before his jersey got retired. That is sickening to me. Okay? That is sickening to me. Donnie Mack and Donovan McNabb, arguably the two greatest quarterbacks in the history of Syracuse football, had to be, in their 40s, 50 to see their jersey get retired. Now Dwight Freeney, okay, college football says you're one of the best. The NFL says you're one of the best. And then your alma mater? No, the way it should go is Syracuse retires your jersey, college football honors you, pro football honors you. It didn't happen that way, but I got to see Dwight. I got to be around him. I'm a massive fan of Dwight Freeney. Did you get to talk with him? What was that experience like, seeing one of the brothers in the family of Syracuse football get to have their jersey retired?
Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to speak with him, but I've always been a huge fan of his, always rooted for him. Even when his Colts was beating up on my Jets, I'm always going to pull for the Syracuse guys. And, he was definitely one of those guys I always rooted for. And, I've actually never met him, but, he seems like a great guy, and the people that I know that do know him, speak very highly of him. And I was so happy to see that his number was retired and his jersey is up there in the rafters, because, he's very deserving. But no, I didn't get a chance to speak with him.
Yeah, I'm happy that we got to see that, and I'm happy that you're back. I'm happy that you're coming to. Anytime anybody comes to the game, like if there was one alum that was coming, I'm like, I want to know who it is so I can come shake your hand and say hello. So, Alban, time flies by when we talk. I love speaking with you, but please tell me when you get into town, and let's truly try to get some FaceTime. And thank you for your words today. I can't thank you enough. I don't do things in this world simply for my dreams and aspirations. I serve God first. I try to help people second. And then, I come somewhere in there. Yes, I'm chasing my dreams. Yes, I'm going after the things I want. But, as long as I can hopefully affect people's lives in a positive way, that's what matters to me. So thank you for your kindness and your generosity of your words today. Thank you for your time, as always. Thank you for supporting and going to Mother's Cupboard and getting my sandwich. I mean, you have been such a wonderful support, and I've known you for a very short amount of time. So I want to give it back to you and say, to all the words you said to me, thank you for being genuine. Thank you for being generous. Thank you for being supportive. Thank you for paying attention. And thank you for caring enough, because people like you remind me that there are so many good people in this world, and people that just want to see everybody win and everybody succeed. And, it speaks volumes to me, the type of character that you've had around me. So when you come into town, let me know, and God bless to you and your family. We know we need linebacker help with Marlowe out. So, Caden, get that weight on, man. I don't know what you got to do, but I can show you places to eat, Caden. We can go to Mother's Cupboard. We could do the Frit Todd Challenge. You can get the Cuse McMother. We're going to get some food in there, and then we're going to work it out. I'll run up the hills with you, Caden. We'll get you right. But, Alban, as always, thank you.
Thanks so much, and thank you for giving to creating this platform that, old guys like me can get on and talk to you about a little Syracuse football. It's always fun. And it's great seeing you. And I will definitely give you a text or a call when I'm up in the Syracuse area. As a matter of fact, I got to introduce you to Caden so he knows who you are. So, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am as well. So God bless you. Safe travels. I hope that, hey, the Jets, Aaron Rodgers has never started 0-2 in his career, and he did not start 0-2 this year either. I picked them to beat the Titans on the road, and that helped out my Jaguars, who are having an awful start to the season. But Trevor Lawrence, we talk about honesty, he stood at the podium and said, our team is awful right now. So they got to figure it out. But shout out to the Jets and Aaron Rodgers for getting a victory. Nate Hackett's a good friend, and he said we needed to get a game under our belts. They did, and they won. So my best to your Jets. And
the Bills are 2-0, right?
What'd you say?
I said, and the Bills are 2-0, right?
Yeah, the Bills are in good shape.
Yeah.
The Giants are not, but I got my Tommy cutlets from Tommy DeVito's mom, Lexi, on my arm, because I said my prediction before the season even started was Tommy will start at least one game. And the way that the Giants are going, DeVito might be out there for more than one. So
he might be.
So a lot of great stuff coming up. Let me know when you get into town, and God bless and safe travels, my friend.
All right, thank you. It was great talking to you. Have a good one.
Thank you, Alban.
All right.
Coming from Alban Brown once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take a quick step aside and get the Binghamton University Bearcats ready. The men's soccer team has a 4-2-1 start to the season, and they've had a lot of fun doing it. Paul Marco's been on the show, and we're about to welcome two of their student athletes. Very excited for Luke Yates to be joining me and Carlo Cavalar right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and then we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and appreciate you for hanging out with us on all of our many channels that we have here, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, watching and listening anywhere in the country and anywhere in the world. Once the shows go live, they hop into the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and click follow and subscribe when you're on any one of these free channels. I make it free to you, so not only can you access shows from over a decade, but you can access them for free, and that's my way of trying to give back to you and saying thank you for watching and listening. So appreciate you so much. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on any one of these channels. And with so many cars, pretty much every car having CarPlay now, when you get into the car and you plug in or you get onto the wireless connection to CarPlay, you can listen to me like you're sitting there listening to your radio locally. So it's a very cool way to do it, and I appreciate everything that's being done by these wonderful outlets that have allowed me the opportunity to connect and to have that access that you can have to the show, which means a lot to me. So with that being said, we are awaiting the Binghamton University Bearcats coming onto the broadcast here, trying to get their video and everything set so that we can bring them onto the show. As you know, Bearcat Time comes to you in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Binghamton University Bearcats. Bearcat Time is every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and that is worldwide. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bring on our Bearcats of this week, giving you the chance to learn more about the men's soccer team. Men's soccer team has had the spotlight here during Bearcat Time in the Bearcat Breakroom this season. And Paul Marcos joined the show, the head coach, and now I have the opportunity to welcome him as well as a student athlete. So we're going to bring them here picture in picture. They're on a bus ride, so not only are they on the show, but they've taken the time to do it while they're traveling here, so you can see them on the bus. Don't worry, Paul's not driving. So welcome to the broadcast. How y'all doing?
Good morning. How are you? We're doing great.
I'm doing very well.
I'm here with Carlo Cavalar, one of our seniors. He's one of our captains as well.
Yeah, and Carlo, happy to have you here on the broadcast, and a big-time shout out to the work that you've been doing. Carlo, just bring me into it. It's a 4-2-1 start for the team. What can you say about the efforts that the team has put together to put yourself in a situation where 5 out of 7 games have either been a draw or a victory?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I think I can't say enough about the effort of the team that has put us in a position. Obviously, everybody puts in a lot of time. Everybody puts in a lot of effort, but I think this year especially, it's been just a special group. And we worked really hard on fitness over the summer, worked really hard to get in shape, and then ever since we've been here, worked really hard to get our cohesion together and get our playing style together, get everything working very well. And I think scoring the goals in late minutes lately has really proven that, and really proud of everybody's work.
Yeah, David O'Brien, who's obviously there in the athletic communications department at Binghamton University, he told me that y'all are going to give him a heart attack. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, DOB, I know he's always very emotionally involved with our games, so we always got to keep it in the back of our mind when we're playing. But it's great to have somebody there that's as involved and really cares as much. So we play for him too, obviously.
Yeah, and your team has had so much success, Paul. I want to go back to you for this. And just, you and I spoke early on going into this season. We talked about really just so many things in the background, different things that you've done, and how this team, what you were envisioning and going overseas and going to Kenya and then coming back and trying to implement some things that you have learned and experiences that you've had from our first conversation going into the season to where we are right now. How do you feel about what you've seen in 7 games?
I think the resiliency of this group is outstanding. The manner at which they approach training in the games has been terrific. The leadership group has done a very good job of leading and setting good examples. But perhaps maybe the most enjoyable part of the whole time we've been together is just that. The guys, when we're together, it's enjoyable. It's a lot of laughter, some banter, some good times. And obviously when you win games, that helps the spirit of the group straight away. That's what we're here for, right? We're here to play soccer, compete, and try to win games.
Yeah, and there was, I have to address this, Luke Yates, the goal that was scored in your recent match here, he jumped, I believe, 13 feet into the air. So, can you bring me into, did you think, that shot was an incredible shot. Is that, obviously the goal scored is incredible, and then the jumping afterward, pretty incredible. Can you bring me into the fact that, did you believe that he could jump that high? Has he stunned you in his vertical?
I don't think he jumped as high as he could. I've seen him jump higher than that. So, what a terrific strike. The goal kind of comes out of nowhere. The ball falls to Luke, and he just hammers it into the goal. And the amount of energy and effort that the group had put into the game, especially the second half, to finish it that way was wonderful. And then obviously, there was a great picture that David had sent to us that he shared with the team. And you could see the smiles and delight, but obviously Luke was, sky high in the air.
Yeah, and
he got pretty good up.
Yeah, and Yates' goal, second game winner of the season, and the setup helped by Carlo Cavalar. So, Carlo, can you bring me into setting up your teammate Luke and just what you saw?
Well, it's obviously late in the game, so it's desperation time. The ball was kind of bouncing around, and I think E.T. Magliola headed the ball to me, and at that point, I think I was running away from the ball, so my main goal was just to get it back into the box where somebody can score. And so that's kind of what I did. And then Caden had a great touch to lead off to Yatesy. And then, what a special goal. It's just, it's not too much on the assister. At that point, it's just a special player making a special play. So not much on me at that point.
Well, and the thing is for you, Carlo, we look at the goals all the time in soccer, but we don't always take the time to look at those that are setting people up. And even if it's not that assist, the pass that comes before that, the pass that starts the play, the, footwork that creates the opportunity, the play that's made on defense that begins all of the action. What can you say about total team effort, and that a goal scored is not simply the goal, it's not simply the assist, but it's different elements of the game and different decision-making pieces of the game that involve the entire team, because a goal is always set up by a string of events. It's not just simply one thing happening.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, a soccer game, it's 90 minutes, and then it boils down to these few moments that end up deciding the game on the score sheet. But everybody puts in work for 90 minutes. So to me, usually the goals are a result of 90 minutes of work, because when you end up looking at the stat sheet, and we have with Whitecloud, we have much more detail than just goals and assists, and you can see that usually in the games that you win, it's not just the moments. It's not just, okay, you maybe had a couple more shots on goal. It's also you maybe had more possession, or you've won duels all the way across the game, and that just gives you a higher likelihood to end up in those positions. And then that's obviously everybody has to do that. And then when the balls get into the positions to score, then you need the guys to finish it off. It's one of the roles that belong on the field, but then for us midfielders or some defenders, and obviously the goalkeeper as well, you don't get as many opportunities to get on the score sheet, but you still got to do your job.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, Carlo, you came from Germany. Why Binghamton? How did this all happen? How did this all come to be? Bring me into the events. Like we talk about, there's a bunch of events that lead to a goal. What are the series of events that led to you even coming to Binghamton?
So it's a long story. There are a lot of internationals in college soccer, so it's not as unique of a story, I would say, but it usually starts at around when you're 17 years old, 16 years old. There's people that tell you about the opportunity that you could play college soccer in the U.S., and what a great opportunity it would be to enhance both your education and have a great experience playing soccer. So then you start looking out, you start contacting coaches, and obviously the coaches do a great job recruiting all over the world, looking for talent. And then you get into contact. Obviously, it's difficult to see people in person. But you have your highlight tape, you gather all the information. And for me, it was I went down to Nashville for my first year, and then I wasn't quite happy with my situation there. So I decided to get on the transfer portal, and that's why for the first time I got in touch with Coach Moon and Coach Marco. And looking at Binghamton as a school, as a profile, I was hooked right away, because it's great for academics, it's great for soccer. Coach told me right away that they were building a new turf to play on. I was excited about that part. And then I went on a visit, and loved it, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, and I love to see it, and I love the story. And hopefully you got some good food in Nashville, Tennessee before you hopped out. But
I got some.
You got some, you said?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I went to Cookout. Maybe that's kind of good food, but it's a perk of living in Nashville.
Fair enough. Coach, you're on the road right now. I think this is so much fun, and I've been doing this thing for over 20 years, but there's something so cool about the opportunity to just do different things. And I've never spoken to a team that is live, on the road, on the bus, about to go to a match, because you have a match today at 4 p.m. So you got a match today at 4 o'clock in Jersey City, New Jersey, against St. Peter's University. So bring me into that. I mean, bring me into the fact that, I mean, you guys you're on the bus, you're on your way. It's game day today. Is there anything that goes into game day specifically? Do you want the guys to stay awake on the bus? Do you not want them to go to sleep? Do you want them to interact with each other? Is there homework being done? Are guys passed out in the back? I mean, what is the bus trip like for you?
Well, first of all, I brought Luke in with us, so we can talk to
Yes.
him after we have a chat.
Amen.
So for me, game days are all unique. I try to give the guys whatever they need, have you guys play hard, so I try to make them as relaxed as possible. We do talk about the opponent on game day. We sometimes have made changes. We only have sometimes a couple of days in between games, so now we didn't put a lot of prep on the field into the next opponent. So yesterday we talked a little bit about St. Peter's, but we talked more about us and how we were going to play. We have a couple of injuries for today's game. We left a couple players back in Binghamton due to academics. So today is a little unique. We'll have a couple of new players in today's game. But most of all, right now, the guys are just relaxing. Some are doing some homework. Some are, probably watching some TikTok videos. But most of all, right now, it's just a relax. We'll have a pregame meal here. Right before we did get on the bus, we did go over some video and a scout on St. Peter's, how we want to play. We know already that we're going to make some changes early in the first half. We're really looking forward to the game. I think we have a good game plan going into today's game. The guys' competitive spirit will get us through the game, and then their soccer will obviously showcase throughout.
Yeah, I love that. I appreciate that breakdown. Luke, hello. Happy to have you here. Did you hear me say that you jumped 13 feet in the air? Am I accurate? Was it 14? The picture. Let me tell you this. When you cover sports for over 2 decades, like I have, there are pictures that are truly worth 1,000 words. And on a season that has started off strong, and I hope continues for you all, those moments, those pictures, they just speak something to me about what could be. So I guess it's a 2-part question. What was a better snapshot, the goal or your leap into the air, and was it 13 feet?
For me, it was definitely the picture, the leap in the air. Like the goal itself, after I watched it go in, I couldn't really believe it at that moment. It was just, as soon as I hit the ball, I looked over to Billy Clark and his face was just spoke 1,000 pictures. So after that, I was completely just out of it, and that celebration was perfect for the win that we had on the road.
Did it just kind of happen inside of you that you were going to jump like a gazelle? I mean, was that just a moment?
Yeah, I am a jumper, but from how hard we all worked during that game, I'm surprised I got that far off the ground. My legs were feeling it towards the end.
So for you, Luke, I mean, you heard me ask Carlo about it, but the setup, right? That it's not just the goal, it's your teammates. Bring me into everything that kind of led into that, and then the assist from Carlo and how that all kind of worked out for you.
Just from that second half, I feel like we came out, we worked really hard as a team. We had a lot better communication and organisation in how we wanted to play for that second half. And I just feel like we put everything into the game to try and get a result out of it. And I just feel like the group as it is itself now, we're all just that much on the same page that we know what we want to do with the ball when we get it. And I don't know, we will work as hard as we can and die for it out on the field.
You said that you're all on the same page and you just kind of know what you need to do. How did you get on the same page? What happened with this team on the field, off the field, in film study, on campus? How did this team get to a point here that we're 7 games in, about to be 8 with the match today? For you to say that this team is on the same page, how did you get on the same page?
I just feel like for this season especially, we know what each other's weaknesses are. We know what each other's strengths are. We know all that we need to do for individual players, and we all know what our roles are in the game. And I feel like we're in that perfect storm, we can all achieve as much as we want to do. And I feel like if we continue keeping doing the same things, we're going to go really far this season.
Yeah, and Coach had spoken about the fact, Luke, that this is going to be a little bit different of a game in the sense of we're going to see some new faces, some guys are going to get out there, there's going to be some changes and things that are going on. What can you say about that, about the state of the team today at St. Peter's, and the fact that you're going to be challenged to either by personnel or by different things schematically that you're going to do? What are you excited about with the opportunity that you have? Because I'm a glass half full guy, so with some change happening today, what are you excited about when it comes to that change?
I'm going to be excited from the energy and the excitement from the players who are going to come in. Seeing them in practice yesterday and throughout all preseason, I know they've got a lot of energy and I know they've got the passion for it. So it's going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be a very tough game today. I think there's going to be a lot of challenges, a lot of hard work, and I'm just really excited to see how everybody plays.
You are from England, so I have to ask you this. Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea. Do you have a team that you live with?
Wisely.
But I personally support Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship, who haven't been very well at the start of the season. But I've always, as a kid, been drawn towards Chelsea.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. No worries. We're on the bus. That's.
Say Chelsea.
What did you say?
I thought I heard him say Chelsea. I dropped the phone. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I said that to somebody yesterday when we were in a restaurant and they were promoting another restaurant. I'm like, oh, it seems like your microphone dropped for a second. So, yeah. But Coach, being here picture in picture with Luke Yates, what have you seen from him specifically besides the fact that he obviously needs to maybe do some other Olympic sports when it comes to pole vaulting or other things that would involve him jumping?
High jumping.
Well, yeah, the high jump. What have you seen from?
Well, when we do some plyometrics and neuromusculars, he's the first guy I go to with a demonstration.
I love that.
Certainly leads by example. It's been wonderful. I think that we've seen Luke grow through the time that he's been with us. This year, he's been exceptional. He has led by example. He has led by his voice. He's been very instrumental in how well the backs have played. We've got more clean sheets. He's really been a key piece to not only the defensive side, but also on all set pieces. He's a threat in the box. He's a threat, whether it's in the air or on the ground. The goal that he scores off of a half volley the other day was outstanding. But he also is a threat, as he showed in the first game in the air as well.
Yeah, and being able to see the success, I'd be remiss, Coach, if I didn't, obviously congratulate Carlo and congratulate Luke, but the entire team. What can you say about the collective of these student athletes? It seems like Carlo and Luke believe in this team, believe in what you're doing, feel that there is a cohesion, that there is an understanding, that there is a bond. What do you see from the team throughout?
I think this group especially, I don't know how much we can achieve. I just know that we're moving in the right direction. We're fun to be around. They enjoy each other's company. They enjoy pushing each other. They have a high standard of excellence. I think that, our team culture has come out of the atmosphere and environment that's set every day. So you can now see who we are. You just come out to training, you see a relaxed environment. Once the session starts going, it gets faster as we go. I would like to see us start the games at a higher level. We tend to be now more second half team. I'd like us to be a complete game type of team. So that's something that we're talking about and trying to get better at. I think that, tonight's another opportunity for us to show that we can be pretty good in the first half as well as the second half. So I am looking forward to today's game to see how some of the guys respond to their performance from the Iona game and some guys to see for the first time.
And how do you do that, Coach? How do you ignite the team sooner? If it takes a little bit longer for the match to essentially light this fire, how do you get this to happen quicker? How do you get the spark to happen earlier on in the game?
I think some of it comes from their preparation mentally, as they are thinking about the game. I do try to get the guys who are similar, so the talkers, the guys who are fire, the excited type guys. I want them hanging around each other. The guys who need a little bit more alone time, a little more relaxation. The guys who are ice, like the guy that was behind us. I don't want him being too close to the fire because, if ice is close to fire, it melts it. And one of them's going to win out in that, right? So if I'm a quiet one before the game, that's how I get my best performance, and I'm near the hot guy, well, then I might not be ready. My bell curve might be too high. So we just kind of let the guys kind of be. They kind of know those things. We've talked about how we can get their best performances out of that. And then, of course, we coach them what they need. If they need a hug, we give them a hug. If they need a kick up, we give them that. But I think all the guys now are starting to take more ownership of their own performances, and collectively we get to see the outcome of that at the end of the game.
Luke, I want to go back to you here for a second. I appreciate that, Coach, what you had to say. Luke, this team, the Binghamton men's soccer team for the Bearcats, were outscored 2-6 in back-to-back losses to William and Mary at home and on the road at Hofstra. Then you tied Colgate. What turned the tide to defeat Lafayette and Iona and find a way to get on the winning side of things and also to flip the goal scoring 3-1 in your favor in these last two games? Just what you could say about how this team adjusted from 2 losses and turned it into a tie, and then turned that tie from there into victories, because some teams kind of lose. We talked about mental toughness and focus. How did this team change the trajectory of where you were going and didn't let 2 losses become 3 or 4 and are now back on the winning side?
Yeah, so we started off pretty well from the first game, Mount St. Mary's, then into against Lemoyne for the home opener. And from those 2 feelings, we absolutely loved it. And then after we got to the William Mary game, I feel like we kind of, I don't really know how to put it, nothing really went in our favour for that. And after that feeling, and then the feeling afterwards against Hofstra, I just know that this team does not want to accept that as it is, and we don't want to get into the mindset and the emotion of losing and then just falling into that trap of being in an endless loop of it. So we kind of thought that down. Well, that's it. We've had enough of it, and we're going to give everything to get back on that winning ways. And I think we've done that. And this time we've kind of realised this is how we want to be for the rest of the season. So we're going to keep the mentality we've got now. Hopefully, turn this like kind of string of games we've had to get in a win to carry on now for the next coming weeks.
Do you have anything special you do, Luke, before a game? Either it's a mantra, something that you say to yourself, something that you physically do, something that you think about, music that you listen to. Do you have every pregame, I have to do this?
For me, it's always, no matter what time of day it is, due to time difference, my dad will always send me different messages of how to get me to picture what I need to do in the game. So I always read what he has to say and begin picturing what's going to happen in the game. So that's a given for everyone. And then music-wise, I usually go for Oasis on game days to get me on for it.
I love it. Coach, before I let you go, we're going to play some rapid fire here, and so I'm going to try to make sure both of the guys get involved with this, and you get a question as well. So if Carlo is around, Carlo can ask me the first question. It could be anything, Carlo. It could be soccer or literally anything ever, and I have to answer it on international television and radio. There's people in Germany that could be watching this right now, so go easy on me. What do you got for me?
All right, I'll give you an easy one right off the bat. Ronaldo or Messi?
Ronaldo or Messi?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me.
Rapid fire.
What'd you say?
Rapid fire.
I know. I mean, I feel like everybody says Messi, so I want to say Ronaldo, but I'm gonna lean. I love what Messi's doing for the game, and I love what he has done for the United States of America side of things. So I'm gonna say Messi right now, but it's like 51-49. I want to say Ronaldo, but I'm gonna say Messi because that's my knee jerk. My question back to you, Carlo. If any one of your teammates was going to be driving this bus, who would you trust to get you there safely? Who's the most responsible teammate?
I don't have to think about it. It's Jack Bruin. After the game against Iona, I saw a picture of him sitting at the wheel. He didn't actually take it, but I think if it came down to it, I have no doubt that he would do it. He's just the man for the job, and I don't have to think about it much.
Fair enough. Coach, what's your first question for me?
Well, first, a shout out to my daughter. Their team plays today. When you asked that question to Luke and he said his dad, I've already sent my daughter a couple of texts. I do send her some music sometimes as well. I try to be a dad and not a coach in those moments in the morning before she's playing.
Yeah.
So hopefully good luck to the women at New Haven.
Yes, absolutely.
Right,
shout out to New Haven for them.
My question, Can I shout two quick ones? So who's your favorite Manchester United player?
Oh my goodness. Who's my favorite Manchester United player? I'm an Italy and Spain guy. I'm an AC Milan and FC Barcelona and whatnot. So my favorite Manchester United player ever or right now?
It could be ever.
I would. Oh my goodness. Who the heck would I pick? Best ever?
I mean, there's so many to choose from.
I know. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna refresh my memory and I'm gonna stare at some of these names right now. There's guys from back in like the 40s. I would say that's you know what? I want to say this one because honestly of the leap that he did with a shout out to Luke, Brian Kidd, who played from 67 to 74. He had a massive. My favorite professional man. Are we talking about MLS or no?
No, it can be MLS. It can be English. It can be Spanish. Anybody.
My favorite manager. I'd probably have to go back to. I want to say that I would probably go back to 2006, and the reason why I would do that, I was down in Florida. I was down in Disney. And I was watching the World Cup, so I would probably have to give it to Marcello, and I'd probably have to give it to Italy's World Cup team in 2006. I'd have to give it to him because he was the beginning for me of watching my heritage win. So for him and for the team in 2006, I'm going to paint a picture for a second. So I was working at Epcot, and at Epcot, we have the World Showcase, and each country they used to be like this. I don't know if it's like this anymore, but Disney used to say, like, you couldn't work at a pavilion of a country unless you came from that country. Like, unless you were literally from that country. So I couldn't because I was born in America. So France, these French people were like, they were just trash talking. They were talking to like Germany and all these people saying, oh, we got it for you. I remember this one guy was on the bus and he was saying to this girl from Germany, he was like, oh, baby, we're going to take care of Italy. Don't you worry. We got it. And in our break room at Epcot, everybody's in the break room. So I don't know if anybody was working in the French pavilion at the time. And,
watching the game?
And so, yeah, so we were all watching the game. It was like middle of the day. And I want to say it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Might have been later. But we're watching this game, and they have French flags that they put next to the television. It's all France. And then, like, me, who's cheering on Italy, and a few of my friends. So penalty kick when they went up to Zidane and they got him to headbutt. And I remember they were like, what did he say? And the manager had said, he said they had said something. He said, my player had said something about like Zidane's sister or something like that. And they're like, well, what do you think about it? And he said, hey, he knew that it would get to him. He knew that it would work. And so he used it to his advantage. We won on penalty kicks. It's the first time I ever saw any of my teams win because then Spain won after in 2010. I jumped up in the air, said Viva Italia, and I ran full speed out because there was like 70 French people in there. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to say my favorite manager comes from the 2006 World Cup.
So I had the opportunity to be at that World Cup. My wife and I went to the Italy-US game. And I felt similar to you, except I was in the Italian section. So my wife and I are in a white top each. There's only one other white top. We're sitting behind the goal, and it's a sea of blue. We are in the Italian section, supporter section.
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful day. Yeah. And obviously it was a great game for the U.S. It was a really good game in general. But no, I remember that World Cup. It was a wonderful experience for us.
I was going to say,
so here,
I was going to say really quick, Coach, what was that like I experienced, that was one of the greatest moments of my life to experience that. But you got to be there.
The U.S. scored a goal, and I jump up screaming, shouting, celebrating. I wasn't as high as Luke the other day, but I was high in the air. And the goal actually gets called back. And the Italians, they have a similar moment. And, there was good banter in the stadium. It was a really good game for us. That was the same game where Brian McBride takes an elbow to the face and breaks his cheekbone. So there was a delay in the game, but it was just a wonderful experience. And the Germans hosts were great. What a great city to be in. I went to a couple of games while we were there, and then we watched a couple in the fan zones. They did a great job hosting the World Cup. I'm really looking forward to 2026 when we host as well.
Yeah, I think we should do a team thing. I think that we should do a broadcast covering the World Cup where Binghamton University and I get to
let me know. We'll travel.
Yeah,
have tickets. We'll travel.
Let's do it. I'm all for that. So, you got to go when it comes to your home. So,
Of
Luke,
course.
what is your? So, my question back to. So, I got to ask you a question, Coach, before we go to Luke here. If you could have dinner, Coach, with any 3 current soccer players professionally, anywhere in the world, if you could have dinner with any 3, who would they be and why?
I would definitely have dinner with Ronaldo and Messi. I would want 2 aliens. They're arguably the best players of all time.
Yeah.
And then I would need somebody between them to keep them from fighting. Let's see. I would probably have. Now I have to have a United player, so I would probably have. You know what? I'd have Casemiro. I would have Casemiro. One, the language that they speak would all be, Spanish, Portuguese. I would be an interpreter. Those would be the 3 that I would have. Between the 2.
I like it. Luke, what's your question for me? Oh, sorry. What'd you say?
Culture. We had a Brazilian foreign exchange student that lived with us when I was a kid. In fact, he loved the States so much that he stayed. So I've had a Brazilian background in soccer, since I was a young teenager. So I've really enjoyed that culture of soccer. So here, Luke.
Yeah. All right, Luke.
My question is, what do you think of your favorite footballing memory throughout your life? What is the standout moment that made you realize how much you love soccer as a whole?
All right, I'm going to bring you to when I coached. So I would love to do it again someday, but I coached, I was in Pennsylvania. I graduated from Marywood University, an hour south of Binghamton. And when I was down there, I was working at ESPN Radio and doing my show at the time, which was called the Dan Tortora Show. I wanted to coach. I was trying to find a place. And of course, I played basketball growing up. I had never coached soccer before. I hadn't played soccer, but I was dating one of the girls that was on the Marywood University soccer team, and through her family and their love and their passion for it, and just being incredible athletes, two sisters and then 2 brothers on the, everybody was good, and arguably Logan, the youngest of the 4, was the best. So I wanted to coach, and there was a soccer opportunity at Carbondale, Pennsylvania. It was a travel team in the YMCA. They didn't have a logo. They didn't have a name. I gave them a logo. I gave them a name. Got them T-shirts so we could have some type of jersey. And they said, "Who do you want?" I said, "Give me the youngest that you have," because my intent was to stay and be with them all the way through. So they gave me U12, 8 to 11-year-olds, and my favorite moment ever in my life, it would be easy to pick Italy and Spain winning Euros, and as well as during COVID when Italy did it, And that video that I had, if you go back and watch it, I went absolutely nuts. And of course, the World Cups have been fun back to back. But my favorite moment was my final game coaching Carbondale YMCA, the Carbondale Pride. And that moment was we were tied. We had to play on a different field. It was a home match for us. We had to switch fields. So because our field didn't have lights and the game was later, so we had to go to a field not too far away that had lights. The goal was like half the size of the goals that we were used to, and we agreed to play in these elements. We were tied at the end, and I wanted to win. So they said to the coach, like, listen, the game can end in a tie. They asked the other coach, they said, what do you want to do? I was playing it cool, expressionless, typical Italian, Hispanic. I'm not going to show my face. I'm not going to show my cards. And I said, hey, whatever he wants to do, go and talk to him. And then, let me know what he's thinking. I was like stone face. I really wanted to play, but I didn't want to give that away. And so he goes, yeah, let's play. And he looks at me, he goes, you want to play? I was like, yeah. He goes, let's play. Let's play on. So we agreed to play overtime, and we agreed that the first goal scored was going to be a victory. And we were seconds into it. And one of my guys, corner kick, this kid, tremendous kid, never did anything wrong. Awesome kid. He couldn't get to the game sometimes, so I go pick him up and drop him off. Just like one of the sweetest kids in the world. Super, super talented. No ego. And he goes to the right side of the goal for his corner. And I didn't know enough about the sport at the time to know what this was. So he sets up for his corner. He kicks the ball. It swings around the goalkeeper, goes around the front of the goalie, and goes into the left side of the net and bangs into the net. And everybody stops. And I hear one of my kids go, golden goal. And they run out onto the field. The kid looks at me, and I was like, what just happened? And he just nonchalant, shrugs his shoulders. We win on the golden goal. The other coach goes, oh, I didn't agree to play overtime, da-da-da. I was like, get out of here. We won. It's 30-something degrees outside. My team comes over to me. All the kids jump on me. They dump water on me and Gatorade. I'm drenched. It's 31 degrees. I'm on the ground, and I was smiling, and I said, this must be what it feels like to win the professional games out there. To this day, it was one of the greatest feelings of my life, and I would have stayed on that ground forever with those kids because I love them dearly. And yeah, we won on a golden goal. So I'm going to say that moment.
Perfect.
Yeah. So my question, I know we're losing signal a little bit here, so let me get one in for you, Luke. My question back to you is, what is your greatest experience in soccer that you've seen firsthand? Like a game that you've been to that was the greatest moment of that you've ever seen so far?
Yeah, this one stands out. So when I was a kid and I was still playing Sunday League football in England, we had a fundraiser to go out to Barcelona, and it was while Messi was still there, and we were lucky enough to get tickets here to the new camp. And I can't really remember the season, but I know they were playing Real Betis, and they were 2-1 down at the time. And Messi just got injury, and he started warming up and hitting the crowd, just all scream. And as soon as he went on, they had a free kick, and literally the first touch of the game that Messi had, kicked the ball, he went straight in the top corner, and I've never felt or experienced anything like that.
That's awesome. So with that being said, I appreciate that. For Luke Yates, for Carlo Cavalar, for head coach Paul Marco, for the entire Bearcats men's soccer team, for Binghamton University, they are talking to us from on the road in this Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Binghamton University Bearcats. They have a match today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time in Jersey City, New Jersey against St. Peter's. And I can't thank y'all enough for making some history with me. I've never been on a road trip with a soccer team and gotten to celebrate this. So my best to you on the match. I will be watching this afternoon. God bless to you all. Stay safe and go have some fun.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Take care. And that coming from the soccer team here once again. And happy that we got them. And happy that the signal held up. I mean, for the majority of that, that's tough. You don't know where you're gonna have that. I mean, you don't know how that's gonna go because you travel through, peaks and valleys of good signal. So shout out to Paul Marco's phone. He must have a really good carrier. So shout out to you, Coach, and big thanks once again to Carlo Cavalar from Germany, as well as Luke Yates from England, and of course the entire Bearcats men's soccer team. We made history here today. I have been broadcasting for over 20 years, and I have never spoken to a team on a road trip on the day of a game, heading to the game. So that was really cool to experience them on the bus on the way to it. So God bless to them, and I will be living by my word and paying attention to their match today against St. Peter's. A lot of good stuff. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll come back with the ingredients to success right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Stay with us. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled, So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience, it's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality, and I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really in large part changed that value system for employees, so they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. Of course, it's past 11 a.m. and we're still rocking and rolling because that's what we do here, folks. We keep it going. got to keep the party rocking and rolling here on the broadcast. And we are into the ingredients to success. The ingredients to success proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli's. We were at Avicolli's last night doing a live broadcast with the Liverpool Warriors boys volleyball team. I had a great time with the boys volleyball team. A big time thanks to head coach Mike McIntosh, and of course to the entire team, all the families. Appreciate the families that showed up, the families that maybe couldn't make it. I appreciate y'all too. I hope to see y'all soon. Big time shout out to the student athletes. The team was all there supporting each other and loving each other up and having some fun and laughing, and they seem to have a good time with each other. So I want to give a big thanks to Sean Frawley, as well as to Kellen Conway and to Jack DeGeorge, that all got to sit in on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I got to speak with each of them, and of course to the time that I got to spend with head coach Mike McIntosh. So big shout out to the Liverpool Warriors boys volleyball team, who has a match. They've started off the season 4-0, and they have a match today. So hopefully all goes well for the team, and we'll have the opportunity to speak with them soon. So a lot of great stuff here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, including a fantastic night out there in the community at Avicolli's. Love being in Avicolli's every single month with our Liverpool Warriors broadcast. It is right down the street from Liverpool High School. You can see Liverpool High School if you stand at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road, right there at the light where Avicolli's is on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. Make sure you go over there 7 days a week. They now are open on Mondays. So they used to be closed on Monday, open every other day of the week. Now they're open on Monday. So you can go and see them and enjoy their food for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Of course, if you're drinking, please be of age. And of course, as always, drink responsibly. Appreciate you so very much, everybody that's out there supporting local and supporting Avicolli's here in our community of Central and Upstate New York. Many thanks for that. So a lot of great stuff there Monday through Friday, lunch, dinner, and drinks. And of course, for takeout, delivery, and catering, you can get in touch with Avicolli's by calling 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. And you can also order online at myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. So make sure that you do that and continue to support local, and I appreciate everybody that has. The ingredients to success, today's topic, a steady hand in chaos. Well, seems pretty self-explanatory, right? A steady hand, right? Not a shaking hand, but a steady hand in chaos, keeping it steady. And the question becomes, what are the ingredients to success of having a steady hand in chaos? Well, unfortunately, in order to have a steady hand in chaos, you have to experience some type of chaos, because the experience helps you to learn how to be steady, right? I think so many of us were like, we want the perfect life, we want everything to go well, and we want to be strong in everything that we do, but you become strong in the things that you do when you go through tough moments. That's how you become strong. You become strong through having weak moments. And that might not make sense to people, but people that have experienced life genuinely know that you can't be strong unless at one point you were weak. You cannot face problems. You cannot understand how to face a problem or what to do in facing a problem unless you face a problem. So I tell you this all the time. They don't call it growing. They call it growing pains. Because when your body grows, it literally hurts to do it. And in life, our body and our experiences mirror each other. In order to grow in life, we must go through pain. In order to evolve, we must go through tough times and adversity. And a steady hand in chaos, the world's been crazy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't ever sugarcoat it here on the show. The show's been nuts. The show's been nuts. Talking about the stuff has been nuts. The world has been nuts, and in that case, the show has had to handle the crazy. And, whether it's the fact, it could be on the local level. Driving has gotten terrible because, and I can get better at this as well, but people are on their phones, people are texting, people are looking things up, people are watching videos on their phones. They're paying attention to other things. And So, I mean, driving has gotten reckless, partially because I think some people are selfish. Other parts because people are looking at their phone and they're looking stuff up and they can't wait until they park to do it. So many cars now, they allow you to call people hands-free by simply speaking to your phone. They allow you to text people by simply speaking to your phone. They'll read a text message back to you. There's no reason why I should have my phone in my hand. There's no reason why you should have your phone in your hand. And I have had my phone, and I mean, I'm blatantly honest here on the show. I could do better with that. I could do light years better. So, I think we talk about chaos. Driving has become chaotic. The grocery store, the prices that we're paying, the ridiculousness of that. COVID, I said during COVID, we had so much taken away from us. We couldn't be around each other. If we were around each other, we couldn't touch each other. Like, I could go see my mom and my dad, but I couldn't hug them. I remember standing in my mom's driveway, getting out of my car and looking at her just so I could talk to her in person because I missed her. And she just started crying. And she turned around and she was walking back to the door because she said, I want to kiss my son. Like, my mom and my dad always give me a kiss on the cheek, and I give them a kiss on the cheek when I see them. It's a sign of respect and love. I grew up in a family where man, woman, child, when you see somebody, you give them a hug and a kiss. And it wasn't enough for my mom to see me in person because she couldn't hug me, because she couldn't give me a kiss on the cheek. And I could feel that break my mom's heart. And, it genuinely hurt because as much as I was in front of my mom, I felt like there was like this glass wall between us that wasn't there, but it felt like it was there. And so, I mean, we went through all this chaos during COVID, and I said, one of three things is going to happen. Either we learn from this and we become better people, we don't learn from this and we stay crappy, or we learn from this and we still do nothing. So either we stay the same, we learn from it and get better, or we become worse. And, I felt like when people started driving again, it was like people were driving like maniacs. People were driving selfishly. COVID shouldn't have made you selfish. COVID should have made you appreciate community, appreciate society, appreciate togetherness. And again, when we were home and we were locked in our houses, again, the media has taken, and they say, Dan, you're a part of the media. Well, listen, I don't agree with everything the media does. I don't agree with a lot of the things that the media does, by and large, in its majority. And I didn't get into this to walk the line of the media. I got into this because I love broadcasting and I want to help people and bring people together. The media took advantage of people being at home, and they tried to scare you, which I think succeeded with some people. They told you really stupid things. Or I mean, I said this and people think I'm kidding, and I'm not really kidding. I'm like joking about something serious. If the media told you to buy a chicken suit, and if you wore a chicken suit, you never get COVID again, chicken suits, in my opinion, would be sold out on Amazon. And that power, I think some people have gotten drunk on that power. So a steady hand in chaos, we need to have a steady hand. We need to understand that what people say to you, would you believe somebody on the street that just would come up to you and say something to you, or would you look into it a little bit more? Because you should do that with the media. You should do that with anybody. We need to get in the habit of questioning things that don't make sense. We need to get in the habit of seeking to gain knowledge and wisdom, and seeking to understand and not just be understood. So, I think that we can get better as a society. And the thing that I've realized in the media is some people will follow the media blindly. They don't care what the media says. They don't care how crazy it sounds. They will follow the media off a cliff. And I did not think that the media had that much power. I don't feel like I have that much power because I would never exert that power upon you. I wouldn't. I don't believe in control of other people. I believe you have to control yourself, but I do not believe in controlling other people. I do not believe in taking advantage of other people. I would not want someone to take advantage of me. I think that's wrong. So in my world, I have to answer to a higher power. I have to answer to God. I don't live in a world where it is just an easy kind of, I do whatever I want and there is no God and I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't believe in that. And people are free to believe what they want to believe. I'm sure that people that watch and listen to the show have different beliefs and different viewpoints and different faiths and different political leanings and yada, yada, yada. And that's all well and good. But I need you to understand something. We have lived in a very chaotic world. I don't know what life was like during World War I and II, and I count myself as blessed as not knowing that. But at the same time, I know what this world has been like since 2020. I know what this world has been like during a pandemic, during media control, and when everybody was locked at home, we were attacked. Social media, and I'll leave names out of it because here's the really sick thing about it. I've mentioned a social media company on this show, and it seems like I've been punished by that social media company by mentioning their name and talking about negative things that they have done to me on social media that don't make sense to me, that just so happen to appear at times that seem all too convenient. I've mentioned their name and I've been punished. I mentioned their name and was punished 8 days after I did it. I mentioned the name and said something about like some of their things that they've done, or this seemed a little bit strange and suspect. And then 8 days later, oh, you broke this community standard. Oh, you did this and that. So, and now they've changed the way that I can interact in certain ways. And to live in a world where I have freedom of speech, and I'm not afraid of this company. I mean, I don't fear anything. And I sit here and I say to myself, if I say the name of this company and anything negative in connection with the name of this company, I have seen myself on more than one occasion be punished. That is not freedom of the internet. That is not freedom of speech. That is control. That is censorship. And I'm telling a factual thing. I'm saying, I said this and this happened, and then another thing happens, and then another thing happens. So, to me, I just find that it is wrong to censor. And so I'm not going to censor. Facebook has done things to me. They have. I'm not going to censor myself because I'm not going to be afraid of Facebook. I'm not going to be afraid of X. I'm not going to be afraid of Instagram. I'm not going to be afraid of TikTok. I'm not going to be afraid of YouTube. Why should we live in if I have to be afraid of speaking in front of my phone about poor practices and unfair treatment, if I have to be afraid, this morning when I was talking about unfair treatment that I've gotten from Syracuse University, that I've gotten from the media in my hometown, if I'm not going to be afraid of that. I mean, you're going to treat someone who's doing things the right way and following the rules and working their butt off and doing it with morals and values and believing in God, and you're going to punish that person and then expect that person to keep their mouth shut, so to just take your abuse and then say nothing about it. Are you Ike Turner? Are you Ted Bundy? I mean, what human being or institution wants to control, manipulate, and negatively affect somebody and then expect that person that you're victimizing to keep their mouth shut about it? I thought we lived in an America where you're supposed to, if you see something, say something. You're supposed to speak up for yourself. And I'm supposed to be afraid of Syracuse University. I'm supposed to be afraid of Syracuse media. I'm supposed to be afraid of Facebook. I'm supposed to be afraid of sharing my opinion. I'm supposed to be afraid of saying that nobody should shoot at Trump or Kamala or Biden or anybody. I mean, I should be afraid of being a good person. I should be afraid of doing the right thing. I should be afraid of calling out censorship. I should be afraid of calling out unfair treatment and double standards and hypocrisy. I should be afraid of the fact of me mentioning the fact that I've been yelled at by following the rules. I've been yelled at by Syracuse University at least 4 times for following the rules. Yet I see people break the rules all the time, and we're supposed to keep our mouth shut about it. Why am I supposed to keep my mouth shut about it? You have a head coach that calls me on my personal cell phone from his personal cell phone and says, if you need anything, let me know. Dan, I'm happy to help you. And then I follow the rules, don't go around anybody, reach out to Syracuse University and say, can I talk to the coach that just called me and said he wants to talk to me? And they told me he's too busy from now until the end of the season. He has no daylight from now through December. There's no way, chance, or anything that you can talk to this man because he doesn't have any time for you. That's the same guy who called me up and told me he has time for me. And I'm supposed to keep my mouth shut. I'm supposed to fall in line with a place that has no respect for me, to just be happy to be there. My grandfathers, if they had fallen in line and just, were afraid and felt censored and felt worried, they wouldn't have enlisted in the Army and the Navy. My great uncle Pat wouldn't have enlisted in the Air Force. My family wouldn't have fought in World War II. My mother did not raise me to see somebody treat me poorly, see somebody treat somebody else poorly. My father didn't raise me for that either. My dad had his life threatened being a prosecutor. My dad was in a courtroom where people were threatening the lives of me and my mom because my dad was trying to prosecute them. These are people that are criminals that broke the law, that created unsafe environments, and were like, how dare you, Ralph, try to put me in jail for something that I knowingly did wrong. And instead of being mad at themselves and instead of taking responsibility, they said, hey, if you put me in jail, Ralph, I'm going to kill your son. And my dad kept doing his job. I don't come from a family lineage of weakness. I don't come from a family lineage of just sit there and take it, son. I've been bullied all my life. I have been bullied all of my life. And I have never, ever once wanted to hurt somebody or wanted to bully back. I've been mad. I have been mad. But I never have wanted to see somebody else truly in pain. I have to go to work every single day and stand in front of people that don't respect me. I have to stand next to people that steal from me, that have made money off of me, that have written articles off of my quotes, that have pretended that they were in rooms that they were never in. And see, the thing is, if I don't speak up, you don't know that. The fan of Syracuse football thinks that every media outlet was at the ACC kickoff. There was 2 media outlets there, and there was one of us asking questions in the television room. I was the only person that covers Syracuse football asking questions in the television room from Syracuse. The only person. Every other credentialed member of the media did not say a word in the television room. And I'm not saying that to shame them. I'm saying that if you read an article, saw a video, or anything, that came from me. Did you hear it come from Dan Tortora Broadcast Media? No. I was sitting with Bob Beretta at Lemoyne College through the entire process of going to Division I. I spent a year working on it, talking to coaches, talking to student athletes, talking to Bob, talking to Dr. Lyndon Lemira, the president, talking to the board of directors and the chair of the board, Pete DeLaura. I didn't get 1 ounce of credit for a year's worth of work. I watched somebody in Illinois take credit who's not even here. Well, Danny has a connection to Syracuse. I don't give a crap who he has a connection to. Give credit where credit is due. I'm not asking anybody to kiss my ass. I'm asking you to stop lying, to stop plagiarizing, to stop taking advantage of the fact that I created my own business and you think, well, your business has been around longer and it's bigger than I am and you've reached more people, so you can just drown me out. Every once in a while, a Syracuse fan or a fan of a team will say, that came from Dan, give him his flowers. That came from Dan, give him credit. The Syracuse media, by and large, has credited me 1 time in over a decade. And it was when Mitch Kimball transferred out of Syracuse at the quarterback position. Because nobody else apparently had Mitch's number and no one else talked to him. So I was the only one. I was laughed off, scrutinized, and chastised for saying that Dan Mullen didn't make sense to be the head coach at Syracuse. And it came from people all over the place that claimed to be smarter than me and better than me. And then you find out that Dan Mullen didn't even interview for the job. he didn't even interview. Did I get an apology? Absolutely not. So, I mean, am I here to be a crybaby, which somebody could paint that picture of? I'm sure, because, you know, God forbid someone takes responsibility for their actions. I'm not a crybaby. I'm not going to apologize that I'm outing you. I'm not going to apologize that you should be ashamed of yourself. And at the end of your life, when God asks you what you did, are you going to say you stole from me, from other people? Are you going to tell God that 90% of your articles were plagiarized? I don't live in that world. When I'm done with this earth, hopefully when I'm 100 plus years old and I've lived a very healthy life and I die peacefully in my sleep, I can tell God that I did things with morals and values. I can tell God I did things with integrity, with faith in him. Was I perfect? No. Did I make mistakes? All the time. And one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made is being afraid of bullies. And the bullies in my professional career are no different than the bullies in my high school. They're small people. They're small men and women. They hope that you never find out the truth. They hope that you never see through the BS. And I didn't expect to talk about it today, but Alban brought it up. And, you know, I sit here in my studio and I'm like, should I be afraid? What if I have something taken away from me? What if I have more doors slammed in my face? What if I have people now that, you know, because the thing is, when you talk about people plagiarizing you and trying to censor you and trying to push you off the corner and don't give you the same opportunities that they give to other people, when you out somebody for doing something bad and it can affect their livelihood or their money, instead of taking responsibility for it, they want to come after you. And so, you know, some people would say, Dan, why would you talk honestly about this stuff? Aren't you afraid of people coming after you? These idiots have already come after me. One of them threatened to punch me in the face because I stood up for myself. A media person threatened to punch me in the face because I stood up for myself. Because I had had enough of being disrespected. I didn't yell, I didn't swear. I talked very calmly. And I mean, I have seen things that have been written about me where I could probably sue people. And all of these people that I talk to, they're like, well, Dan, plagiarism's wrong. You know, people can't steal your work without giving you credit. I mean, my dad's a lawyer. My dad said, do you want to spend the rest of your life in court? I mean, you can go after these people. I could have ruined people's careers. Have I given you any names this morning? No. I could give you all the names, but my parents taught me a long time ago, you don't bury people. You hand them a shovel, you let them bury themselves. And I don't wish bad on people. I'm hoping that these people turn a corner. I really am. Am I sick and tired of it? Yeah, absolutely. Is it going to stop me? Hell no. And I think that that's the thing that pisses them off the most, is that I won't quit. You know, the institutions that continue to treat me with a double standard, that continue to disrespect me, that continue to slam the door in my face, that don't allow me to talk to the people that want to talk to me, I keep showing up. Because I'm not in it for my ego. I'm in it for doing the right thing. And I'm a believer that if you do things the right way, people will see through it. And they have. The student athletes have, the coaches have. The more they've tried to double standard me, the more they've done things right in front of my face that they told me I can't do, and they've allowed other people to do. The coaches still respect me. The players still respect me because they see through. And to the media, I know when I sit in a room, and how sad is that? In my hometown, if I sit in a room with 30 people, there's probably 25 people who don't give a crap about me. But I pray for every single one of them. I want them to go to heaven. I know I've made jokes before, and I shouldn't have, about like, oh, you know, if I see them, I ended up in a different place than heaven. But I was trying to shed light on people doing bad things. And I still shouldn't have said it. I want them to go to heaven. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be well. I say hello to these people. See, the thing is, when someone treats me like crap in the media and they have a child, I congratulate them. When someone treats me like crap in the media and they leave a charger I take the charger and I text them and I say, hey, you know, when can I see you again to get you your charger? Those same people left me locked outside of a Syracuse building while I was getting rained on because nobody wanted to let me in. But I would hold the door for you the next time. So, you know, a steady hand in chaos is hard. It's really hard to have a steady hand. It's really hard to have a steady hand and not a fist. Because even the most kind of us get to a point where we just say, like, kindness isn't weakness. Kindness is not weakness. And I just have to black it out. I mean, I've called my mom and I've called my dad. I go, do you know how hard it is to go to a media event in my own hometown and to know that the people that have plagiarized my work are going to be there? The people that have said crappy things about me are going to be there. The people that have slandered me are going to be there. The people that would leave me outside in the rain are going to be there. The people that scoff at my questions are going to be there. You know, but those people don't matter. They don't. And that the sad thing is, I would easily have been their friend. I don't see competition. I reach across the party lines. Why do you think I said I would run for president someday? Because I don't see Republican or Democrat. I see human being. I see human beings. Most of us want the same things. And we can't get to these things fast enough without each other. You can build a house faster together. If Democrats and Republicans, think about the House of Representatives. Let's use something as a figurative and literal. A house can be built a lot easier with everyone working on it. If just Republicans are working on the house, you're going to build half the house. If Democrats are working on the house, you're going to build half the house. But if they work together, then the two halves make a whole, and all of a sudden the house is together. And I think that about life. I mean, I tell people all the time, whether you like Donald Trump or not, one thing that he had the courage to say was that the media lies to you. He asked you to challenge the media. He asked you to do your background. He asked you to pay attention. And I commend him for that. You may not like him. I don't agree with every single thing that he says and does. But I can promise you that when he said the media lies to you and there is fake news out there, I'm in the media. Are you going to refute me when I've watched people steal my work and I've watched people treat people like garbage? The stories that I know. So that's not a lie. And unfortunately, a lot of the media works in this godless world. They work in this world of, I will never pay for anything. I can never do anything wrong. It's only stealing if I get caught. I don't have to listen to anybody. Do as I say, not as I do. A double standard is fine as long as I'm on the right side of it. I mean, I deal with this stuff all the time. And I still show up. So when you watch my show and you listen to my show and you read my articles and you come to my events, the man behind the music, you know, I fight a lot of battles that I shouldn't have to fight, that nobody should have to fight. In order for me to get the same information, I got to work 3 times as hard. And then after I get that information, I work 3 times as hard to get. It gets stolen from me anyways. So am I in it for the accolades? Obviously not, because I'm never going to get an award from the media. Am I in it for the pat on the back? Obviously not, because they're patting themselves on the back after putting their name on my work. So what am I in it for? I'm in it in the hopes that I can get to heaven by chasing I want to chase my dreams while I'm here. I want to catch them. I want to make a difference in the world. I want God to be proud of me. I want my parents to be proud of me. I want my grandparents to be proud of me. I want my dog to be proud of me. You know, I want to live in a world where the good guy wins, the good girl wins. And I can't give up and then hope that happens. So Is it easy to do this? No, it's not easy. But I didn't get into it for the media. I didn't get into it for people to like me and smile and shake my hand. Handshakes from the fakes is something that I've never needed. So I consider myself to be a pretty good judge of character. And if I go my entire life think about it, my teachers took credit for the work I did in college. When I was in the hospital, my advisor went to my co-host and tried to force me out of the show while I was in a hospital bed. Think about how sick of a human being that man has to be. And he was old enough to be my grandfather. So, and as soon as I left, they took my name off everything and he put his name on it, ever so conveniently. I never saw him work on the show once. So, the reality is, just because you see somebody's name on something doesn't mean that they did it. And it's so easy for people to report on things because they're sitting at, the majority of the Syracuse media was watching the ACC kickoff with you at home. I was one of two people that was there. But did you know that? No, because did they tell you that they weren't there? Did they tell you that they didn't ask any questions? Did they tell you that they didn't spend their hard-earned money to go get a hotel and to get a plane ride and to rent a car? Did they tell you that they put the work in? No, they wanted you to assume that they were there. They wanted you to assume that they put the work in. They wanted you to assume that they did the job. And they conveniently took my quotes, my video, my audio, and took my name out of it, took my voice out of it. And you would have never known that if I didn't speak up. Having a steady hand in chaos is very difficult. Because this world, the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that this world don't give two Fs about how you feel and what you think and what's right. That's why my faith is not in humanity, it's in God. That is why my belief is in God. That is why my hope is that I will have a place in heaven, whether or not I feel like I have a place here. Does it hurt? Yeah. Do you want to cry sometimes? Of course. But I was never here to please the media or to please the ignorance of this world or to please the hypocrisy of backward institutions. I always have been here to praise God, serve God, love myself and love others, to chase my dreams and to truly live in a world where I believe I can do anything and then go out there and do it. So having a steady hand in chaos, it's not easy. But I will do my best to help you, even if you won't help me. Because that's what Jesus did. That's what Jesus does. And that's what Jesus will always do. He doesn't owe us anything, but he gave us everything. So, if they can crucify perfection, why should I be surprised that they try to create chaos in the life of a peaceful person? But I'm going to stay peaceful, and I hope you do too. These have been the ingredients to success, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli's, 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. Open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. And as always, drink responsibly when you go out there. We're going to take a final step aside. We'll be back right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop shop for all of your sports card and trading card needs. Listen, this world would be a lot better place if kids got to stay kids and adults got to keep that kid spirit. And that is what GG Cards and Breaks gives you. It is an awesome atmosphere of just cards, living in this world of collecting really cool things and being able to show people and having a story behind it. Folks, I can describe to you the millions of stories I have from collecting sports cards and trading cards. But you know what I like even more than that is for you to have some stories to tell me. So head out to GG Cards and Breaks today, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. And we'll see you this Thursday, September 19th, for GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night, where the whole community gets together of all different ages, from kids to people in their 70, 60, 70 years old, come out and all get together to buy, sell, and trade. And we look forward to seeing you there this Thursday, September 19th from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, I want to thank my awesome guest today, Alban Brown, Syracuse football alum from the mid to late 80s, and of course being a part of an undefeated team in 1987 at 11-0-1, and they have 21 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie over a 2-year span. Incredible history. Alban Brown, linebacker for Syracuse. His son, current linebacker, true freshman, Caden Brown. God bless to him in his maturation process and becoming his own self and having his own story at Syracuse. Big time thanks, speaking of telling their own story, the Binghamton University Bearcats, a men's soccer team. Shout out to head coach Paul Marco, as well as student athletes Luke Yates and Carlo Cavalar. And of course, a thanks to Avicolli's for the ingredients to success. You're with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and both /WakeUpCallDT and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once the show goes live, search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or Wake Up Call DT to head to the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. Big time thanks to our incredible team. Of course, the Brooklyn Pickle down by Pinehurst Golf Courses in North Carolina in Southern Pines. We're going to have something really special coming up with them that we announced yesterday, Pirates on Call. The East Carolina Pirates football team is going to be doing a series with me called Pirates on Call, brought to you exclusively by Brooklyn Pickle on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina, in the same state that the East Carolina Pirates call home. So to my Pirates fans and my fans of North Carolina and Duke, NC State, Wake Forest, and the like, head off to the Southern Pines Brooklyn Pickle location on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, a few minutes from the Pinehurst Golf Courses. Big time thanks to Central and Upstate New York, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicolli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Brian's Landing, GG Cards and Breaks, Mon Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Mother's Cupboard, where I have my own sandwich, the Cuse McMother, 7 days a week, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. My own Sunday is down the road from Lemoyne, and it is a connection back to Lemoyne at Carvel DeWitt, the DT Dolphin, the only Carvel in the country that has it, and that is mint chocolate chip, green for the Dolphins, hot fudge, topped off with whipped cream and a cherry. green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. Great Lakes Honda City, Servomation, which is reimagining what it's like to have vending in any of your wonderful businesses and schools. And of course, big time shout out to Pizza Man. We are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of Lemoyne College, as well as Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse and Binghamton University. You can find your Dolphins every Wednesday during Dolphin Time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time weekly. Binghamton every Tuesday, like today, at 10 a.m. Eastern Time weekly worldwide for the Bearcat Time. And you can find Lemoyne, Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, and Binghamton University's library of all of our broadcasts by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell. Find the Lemoyne playlist, the BSC Syracuse playlist, and the Binghamton playlist. You can find all of them on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. On your Bobcats, go to Syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And on your Bearcats, go to BUBearcats.com. God bless to them all. With that being said, thanks to Alban Brown, thanks to Paul Marco, Luke Yates, Carlo Cavalar, as well as Avicolli's for a great event last night on site on location. As always, every single month with the Liverpool Warriors. Shout out to the boys volleyball team. Thanks to head coach Mike McIntosh, all of the families and all the student athletes, including everyone I got to speak with, Sean Frawley, Kellen Conway, and Jack DeGeorge. I hope you all have a wonderful match today, and God bless to you all in your continued season. Thanks to John Fratto and everybody at Avicolli's, including the Avicolli family on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. I hope you have a wonderful day. Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. God bless, no stress. Do your best. Thank you for all of you that have given me the love and the respect. I will never forget that. I appreciate you, and I love you back.